let's develop that notion then of Catholic schools being a civic good. This is something that I wrote about in an essay for the Holy See. And one of the great things it seems to me about Catholic education, and maybe something that we don't always see in ourselves as clearly as your research and writing suggests we should, is us being a civic good. I mean, obviously, we are trying to build a bench for the church and a bench of servant leaders, but not just servant leaders for the church, but also servant leaders for the world. And I think one thing that you've suggested really clearly in our conversations is that Catholic schools do a really good job of preparing engaged citizens. And so, could you take that point you just made and develop it a little more? What should we be thinking about as Catholic educators or be self-aware of that makes us good at forming these engaged and responsible citizens and civic leaders?
Sure. So political scientists look at engaged citizenship as having four key components, and all of them are potentially developed in schools. I mean, this is why we raise taxes for education is to support the next generation's democracy. So those four capacities are political or civic knowledge, political or civic skills, the habit of engagement in community, and then civil tolerance. So let me just unpack each one of those and talk about how they are formed. So political knowledge or civic skills is about more than just how many branches of government do we have in the United States. Of course it's that. But really it is the whole perspective that comes from engaging with history across time and space, geography, religious, comparative religion, art, music, all the things that go with the humanities curriculum that give us perspective. That is political knowledge. So the schools can develop that or not. Catholic schools and the research have historically developed that in the high school, particularly. So that's political knowledge. The second, political skills, the capacity to speak well, write clearly, interpret legislation, all of those kind of social capital skills that a good school also builds and supports. The third of the habit of engagement, this can be very narrow, knowing that you will vote, so forth, but it's also just being involved in your community. And for students to have this norm and carried into adulthood, it seems to me that a culture that teaches students there is more than just the self. There are obligations and duties and norms beyond the self. In our hyper individualistic country, having that voice, that habit of engagement. Quaker schools are also very good at this. Certain charter schools are also very good at this. Believe it or not, district schools can be. Just requires intentionality. So that habit of engagement. The last capacity is the one I focus a lot on right now, and that is the habit of civil tolerance. So civil tolerance means the capacity to hold strong beliefs that are well founded and also to listen to someone's opposing beliefs and hold that with respect. Now, this the capacity for debate and deliberation is a learned habit. It is learned. All we don't come from our mother's wombs able to tolerate dissent and debate ideas, and it's critical that schools can do this. So the best, the ideal is that every classroom, teachers are providing alternative narratives, alternative evidence, teaching kids how to debate, even if they don't believe in either position, and creating the conditions for what we call an open classroom climate. That has an outsized positive impact on civil tolerance. This is a very strong point in international research, also in Dave Campbell's research on Catholic schools, by the way, that have this kind of reasoning is learned well or should be. My institute has a school culture survey right now that includes some of those international questions about the open classroom climate, and there is real variability for political reasons, for all kinds of reasons, why it's not happening as it should in American schools.